third verse pays homage to Allah as the master of the day of judgment or requital. Maliki Yawmiddin. The word Malik has been derived from the root milk, which signifies possessing a thing in such a manner that one has the right and power to dispose of it as one likes. The word Deen signifies requital. So the phrase master of the day of requital implies total mastery on the day of requital. But there is no mention of the thing or things to which this mastery or position would apply. According to the commentary Al-Kashaf, the phrase makes a general reference to cover everything. This is to say, on the day of requital, the mastery over everything that exists will belong to Allah Jalla Jalaluhu wa Amma Nawaduhu alone. The day of requital is real and rational. Before we proceed, let us consider two important questions. Firstly, what is the day of requital? Secondly, Allah Jalla Jalaluhu wa Amma Nawaluhu being the master of everything even today as much as on the day of requital, why does this verse specifically mention the day of requital? The day of requital or the day of judgment is the day appointed by Allah to recompense good or evil deeds. There is an explanation by the translator which says the verse qualifies Allah specifically as master of the day of requital and thus emphasizes a principle which is in itself of the highest import and is particularly relevant to certain tendencies in the modern habits of thought, contrary to the modern conviction which one finds reflected even in the so-called new interpretation of Islam. Individual or collective well-being is not the be-all and end-all of human existence, nor is the physical world the place where good or evil deeds are recompensed. By translator, the world is only the field of action, the place where one is required to perform one's duty and not the place for receiving one's reward. The mere fact that man happens to be healthy and wealthy or powerful does not necessarily argue that he has won the pleasure and favor of Allah. Similarly, the mere fact that a man happens to be ill or poor or weak or miserable does not by itself indicate that he is the object of Allah's wrath. Even in the case of worldly life, would it not be a platitude to remark that a man sweating in a factory or an office does not consider it as a misfortune? In fact, try to deprive him of this opportunity to sweat and you would have earned his deepest displeasure. For beyond all this toil, he can glimpse the reward he is going to get after 30 days in the shape of his wages. It proceeds from this principle that the greatest sufferings in the world are the lot of the prophets ﷺ and after them of the men of Allah. And yet we see them quite content and even happy. In short, physical well-being or worldly glory or luxury is no sure indication of one's virtue and truthfulness, nor is sorrow and suffering that of one's misdeeds and falsity. It may, however, happen that a man receives some punishment or reward for his deeds in this world. This never is the full recompense, but only a faint model which has been manifested to serve as an intimation of warning. The Holy Quran has spoken very clearly on this point. وَلَنُذِيقَنَّهُمْ مِنَ الْعَذَابِ الْأَدْنَى دُونَ الْعَذَابِ الْأَكْبَرِ لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْجِعُونَ. And we shall surely let them taste a nearer punishment in this world before the greater punishment in the other world, so that they may return to the right path. كذلك العذاب ولعذاب الآخرة أكبر لو كانوا يعلمون. Such is the punishment, and the punishment of the other world is certainly greater, only if they knew. The sufferings of this world, as even its joys, are sometimes a trial and sometimes a punishment, but never a full recompense, for the world is itself transitory. What really counts is the joy or suffering that will endure forever, and which one will come to know in the other world beyond this world. Given the fact that good or evil deeds are not fully recompensed in this world, and the rational and just principle that good and evil not being equal in value, every deed should be rewarded or punished according to its nature. It readily follows that beyond this world there should be another world where every deed, big or small, good or evil, is to be judged and then justly rewarded or punished. This is the Holy Quran calls Al-Akhirah, the world to come, or Al-Qiyamah, doomsday or the day of judgment, or Yawmuddin, day of requital. The whole idea has been explained by the Holy Quran itself. مَا يَسْتَوِي الْأَعْمَى وَالْبَصِيرُ وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَلَا الْمُسِيءُ قَلِيلًا مَا تَتَذَكَّرُونَ إِنَّ السَّاعَةَ لَآتِيَةٌ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهَا وَلَكِنَّ أَكْثَرَ النَّاسِ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. The blind are not equal with the seen, nor the wrongdoers with those who believe and do good deeds. Yet you seldom reflect. The hour of retribution is sure to come, no doubt about it. Yet most people do not believe. Who is the master? Now we come to the second question. It should be obvious on a little reflection to everyone that the real master of every particle of dust in the universe can only be He who has created and nurtured it, whose mastery over everything is complete, having neither a beginning nor an end, covering the living and the dead, the apparent and the hidden, the seen and the unseen. On the contrary, the mastery of men is delimited by a beginning and an end. It has a before when it did not exist, and an after when it will exist no more. Man's mastery and control extends to the living, not to the dead, to the seen, not to the unseen, to the external aspect of things, not to the internal. All this would show to those who can see that the real master of the whole universe, not only on the day of requital, but even in this world, is no other than Allah. Then why should this world specify the day of requital? The verses of the Surah Al-Mu'min, Ghafir, chapter 40, serve as a commentary on the phrase under discussion and provide a clear account of the day of requital, the real and complete mastery over everything, no doubt, belongs to Allah alone even in this world. Yet Allah Himself in His beneficence and wisdom has granted a kind of imperfect, temporary and apparent mastery to men as well, and the Sharia in laying down laws for worldly affairs has given due consideration to man's limited right to ownership. But today, in possessing lands or money or power which has been given to him by way of trial, man has always been prone to get drunk with pride and vanity. The explanation written over here by translator, especially the modern man living in the so-called humanistic civilization, when the sole drive and motivating force is the complacent belief in man's mastery. The phrase master of the day of judgment is a warning to man reeling in his forgetfulness and self-conceit and an intimation that all his positions, all his relationships with things and men are only short-lived, and that there shall come a day when masters will no more be masters, and slave no more slaves, when no one will own anything even in appearance, and the ownership and mastery apparent as well real of the whole universe will be seen to belong to none but Allah the Exalted. The Holy Quran says, يَوْمَ هُمْ بَارِزُونَ لَا يَخْفَى عَلَى اللَّهِ مِنْهُمْ شَيْءٌ لِمَنِ الْمُلْكُ الْيَوْمَ لِلَّهِ الْوَاحِدِ الْقَهَّارِ يَوْمَ هُمْ بَارِزُونَ لَا يَخْفَى عَلَى اللَّهِ مِنْهُمْ شَيْءٌ لِمَنِ الْمُلْكُ الْيَوْمَ لِلَّهِ الْوَاحِدِ الْقَهَّارِ الْيَوْمَ تُجْزَى كُلُّ نَفْسٍ بِمَا كَسَبَتْ لَا ظُلْمَ الْيَوْمِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ سَرِيعُ الْحِسَابِ. The day they will present themselves before Allah, and nothing of theirs will remain hidden from Allah, even apparently. Whose is the kingdom today? Of Allah alone, the One, the Mighty. Today everyone will be recompensed for what he has done. Today no one will be wronged. Allah's reckoning is surely swift.